Elizabeth Harrin is an experienced project manager who runs the Girls Guide to PM website and the fabulous Project Management Cafe group on Facebook. And if you're not a member, you really should be. And like me, she's an author, and she's written 6 print books with numerous ebooks as well. And that's a lot. And they're all closely related to project management, so they'll be of great interest to anyone watching this video. Elizabeth's latest book is Engaging Stakeholders on Projects, which she's published with the Association for Project Management. They commissioned that from her, and it was published on the 21st of September 2020. So as we're speaking, it's red hot off the presses. I don't have a copy, but Elizabeth does. Elizabeth, show us your copy.
Da, 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 da. Here it is.
Excellent. Good. But I have read it. Elizabeth kindly sent me a set of proofs, publisher's proofs, so I could read it in advance. And I wanted to ask Elizabeth some of the questions that occurred to me as I read her book. But the first thing I do need to say is how good it is. And I know how hard it is to write a book to a publisher's brief, and stakeholder engagement is a huge topic. So I think Elizabeth's book is going to appeal mainly to new project managers who don't know much about the craft of stakeholder engagement, but there is indeed plenty of good stuff there for more experienced project managers as well. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you for having me on your video show.
It's a great pleasure. And I'll ask you afterwards to tell us a little bit about how people can contact you, but I want to dive in with some of the questions I think some of our viewers will be interested in. And the first question is, why is stakeholder engagement important to project managers? Or, to put it another way, why should my viewers buy your book?
Such a great question. Because engagement gives you more input and more commitment to projects, and means that more people are paying attention to the work that you're doing, and they are doing what you want them to do to get the project done, and they're more likely to commit to the whole thing, to the process, the deliverables, which means that there's less work for you to do because you have to do less chasing and people follow through more, so it's less frustrating for you. And also because it just makes work fun. It's more interesting to work with a group of committed, passionate people, and if you can help them be those kind of people, then that has to make our work lives easier.
Great. And it's a big book. What's your favourite part? What bit of stakeholder engagement did you enjoy writing about the most, and what made it
tricky? That's a tricky question, because I've spent 20 years in project management. I like the communication, the team, the stakeholder stuff best of all of it. But I think can I pick 2 bits if I'm really quick?
You can pick 2 bits. I'll just edit out the one I don't like, unless they're both really good.
I think the part that I enjoyed putting together was trying to take some of the complex ideas and breaking them down really simply. So there's a formula in the book that's understanding plus action plus influence equals engagement. And once I'd come up with that, it suddenly meant that a lot of the other theories about stakeholder management and how we can work with people started to click into place. So I enjoyed breaking down the core aspects of engagement into a formula. That was good. The other part that I enjoyed trying to work out so that I could better communicate it to people was the stakeholder lifecycle, because I'd not seen people think about stakeholders in the same way that we think about projects before. So I've tried to create the concept of a stakeholder lifecycle where somebody is identified as a stakeholder through their engagement with the project, and then their engagement with the project ends. And you might have people coming in at the beginning or the middle of the project, and they go through the same life cycle of having to do work on the project. We have to engage them in the work of the project, and then suddenly we don't need them anymore, so they go, or the project finishes and their involvement finishes as well. So working out how the life cycle of a person's involvement fits with the life cycle of a project, that was the creative solution. Yeah,
what I really like about that is, I'm a great lover of models, and my audience know I love management models more than anything else in the arena, really. And what strikes me about that is that what you have done is fundamentally turn the whole thing on its head. I've written a book on stakeholder engagement. There are relatively few of them about, but you find stakeholder engagement in every project management book, and everyone does the same thing, including me, which is we look at the life cycle from the point of view of the stakeholder manager or the project manager, and we look at what we need to go through in order to engage with our stakeholders. But then we teach people, you should look at the world through your stakeholders' eyes.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you've done. You've looked at the life cycle through their eyes. And I think you've actually transformed, I've saved my understanding of stakeholder engagement with that. I really like that. So thank you for that contribution to the profession. As I say, I like models, and I particularly liked a model there that was called Stakeholder Saliency. And I don't think that is your own model. I think you kind of found that, but you explain it beautifully clearly. So could you explain that to the people who are watching this video?
Sure. No, I can't take credit for that one. That's been around since 1997, and it's Mitchell, Agel and Wood, if people want to look up the original academic papers that it came from. But stakeholder saliency is the degree to which managers give priority to competing stakeholder claims. So basically how much effort you put into working with stakeholders when they come to you with issues and problems. And it looks at how vocal, visible and important a stakeholder is. And then you can decide how you want to engage with them based on that. So there's 3 elements that go into saliency. Do you want me to talk about those?
Yeah, please.
Just quickly. So it gives you a way to work out how much priority to give a stakeholder by looking at 3 different aspects. Legitimacy is how much right does the stakeholder have to make requests of you as the project manager or the project itself. So it could be because they've got a contract or they have a legal right or some kind of moral or vested interest in the project that gives them some kind of claim to authority. The second aspect is power. So that's how much influence they have, and that's how much of a say they have over the project. And that could be perhaps from a hierarchical status in the organization, or some kind of prestige or subject matter knowledge, expertise, or they've spent the money, that kind of power dynamic that you would have with your stakeholders. And the third aspect of saliency is urgency. So how much immediate attention do they demand, and how quickly do we jump when they say there's an issue?
Yeah.
So how unacceptable is a delay to them? And that's normally because they feel some kind of ownership over the project, or they've got some experience where we did jump high and quickly and fix their problems, and they're expecting the same level of service again. And so together, when you put all of those 3 aspects together, it gives you a way to consider how important stakeholders are to the project.
Excellent. I mean, this is a really good model, and I think it's one that anyone can learn from, whether you're managing projects or just generally working with people in your organization or customers, clients. So that's brilliant.
We have so little energy and time just generally in life, and you have to be able to prioritize it. So I like things that help us work out where it's most relevant to spend our time. So
the question that strikes me when we talk about when we talk about risk management, we talk about likelihood, impact, and proximity.
Yep.
Except most of us kind of forget proximity because there's that huge focus on likelihood and impact. If you had to pick 2 from 3 there, which are there 2 big 2 that, and one that you see gets perhaps not fairly omitted in people's thinking? Because I think proximity is so important in our understanding of risk, and we do underplay it far too much.
So of those 3, which 2 would I think most people should prioritise? Or
no, I say which ones do people prioritise? Which one gets left behind? And because they're all important.
I think people prioritise probably power. How much influence do people have based on their perception of how powerful the person is?
Yeah.
And I think probably legitimacy gets a lot of focus because we probably tend to think through, she's paying for it, so I have to do what she says, instead of being able to adequately provide that respectful challenge. Is it a good idea or not a good idea? And how do we address that? So I'd imagine probably urgency is the one that gets overlooked the most.
Okay, excellent. So now it's your turn. So in terms of desert island tools, you're stranded on a desert island, you've got a project to manage, but you can only have one stakeholder engagement tool. Which would you choose and why?
So tough. Let me just randomly select one. No. I would say probably though I get the most use out of my roles and responsibilities document, because it applies every project. Very useful to determine who needs to be involved and to what level they need to be involved. And then people understand it as well, whereas some of the other things are very project management jargon related, but everyone understands what roles and responsibilities are. So it's a great document to put together as a team and then circulate it so you help manage expectations and everyone's clear on what each other does.
Excellent. Brilliant. And finally, final question. What's your top piece of advice for project managers, whether they're new or experienced, in the whole realm of stakeholder engagement? If you have one piece of advice for us.
I'd say you haven't got time to engage with everybody, so prioritize your time and energy and your efforts and put them to where you are going to be able to make the most difference, because not all stakeholders are created equal.
Okay, and we've got the saliency model to help us figure out which. Fantastic.
Yes.
So tell us how my viewers can find you. Where are the best places to engage with you?
Well, you can find me at girlsguidetopm.com, and I'm on most social media channels, but I'm most active on Facebook. And as you mentioned earlier, there's the Project Management Cafe Facebook group, so you can come and hang out with me there.
Excellent. Well, I'll put links to all of your social media channels in the description to this video. Make sure people can find them. And what about your books? This is clearly your favourite book because it's the newest. Give us a flavour of what else people can read about from you.
I have, well, they're here on the shelf actually.
Oh, look at that.
So Customer-Centric Project Management is probably the one I think is the most groundbreaking and most innovative, at least it was at the time. And that's around how do we rethink lessons learned from the ground up and put together loads more stuff on being able to continuously improve processes as we go, despite working in a predictive waterfall type environment. So I really like that one. And then I've got a couple of other books around the introductory texts for people starting out in project management and looking at ways to build their skills and to understand the whole discipline.
Excellent. I'll put links to all your books, all 6 of them, in the description as well.
That's very kind.
Elizabeth, thank you very much for taking some time to talk to me about your book. I think it deserves to be a huge success. I hope it is. And I look forward to interviewing you when you write another one.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure too. Thank you. Give us a thumbs up if you've liked this video. I'll be creating loads more great project management content to support the online project management community and our website. So please do subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of it. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.